this latest edition of What to Watch with Your Popcorn. I am Rob.
And I'm Dave.
And today we went ahead and saw the movie Blue Velvet, which was requested to us. And it's quite an interesting movie. The movie came out in 1986, and it was directed by David Lynch. And it's quite a controversial film. It's pretty much even to this very day. It's been it's divided critics among critics, and even the movie going public against the other part of the movie going public. But the story, pretty much in a nutshell, is Kyle MacLachlan plays Jeffrey. He is home from college because his dad had a heart attack, and then when he's coming home from the hospital, he finds an ear in a field by his house, and it leads into this very strange sort of story involving a nightclub singer played by Isabella Rossellini and this very psychotic man who's addicted to helium, played by Dennis Hopper. And it's one of those movies where it's probably better to go in without knowing too much as possible. But
Yeah.
well, Dave, I gotta say, I really kind of enjoyed the movie. I thought it was kind of interesting. The movie to me is like a mix of it's like a tribute to the film noir genre, where it's like a detective story. Because Kyle goes on this little journey. His name's Jeffrey in the movie, but Kyle MacLachlan played him. He goes on this journey where he tries to, figure out what's going on. And on a lot of film noirs, there's a lot of everything looks nice and pretty, and everything looks normal, but there's always a dark underside to it, like in Chinatown or The Player. The movie starts out where you got it's a very colorful, peaceful, quiet town. You get some flowers, but the movie kind of gets a little bit darker as Jeffrey discovers some things about it.
There are opportunities in life for gaining knowledge and experience. Sometimes it's necessary to take a risk. And I got to thinking, I'll bet someone could learn a lot by getting into that woman's apartment. Sneak in, hide, and observe.
Sneak into her apartment?
Yeah.
Are you crazy? Jeffrey, she's possibly involved in murder. This is giving me the creeps.
No, just settle down. I have a plan.
Movie's sometimes funny, and then it gets suspenseful, and then it's kind of sad sometimes too.
And it's surreal too.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, this is your first time seeing Blue Velvet. Did it leave a good impression on you?
Yeah, I mean it's a really it's a weird movie. I mean, you sometimes don't know what to think. I mean, sometimes difficult to even add stuff up 1 and 2, with this, but you pretty much figure it out by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So.
I've seen this movie before, and it's been a while, but what I liked about this movie is, you got to, because of the suspense, I was always on the edge of my seat wondering what's going to happen to him, because Jeffrey gets into a lot of things in this movie, and you don't know what direction it's going to go in. I always felt nervous because I did not know what would happen to him every time he discovers something new.
What are you doing in my apartment, Jeffrey Beaumont?
I wanted to see you.
Are you kidding? Who sent you here?
Nobody.
What did you see tonight? Tell me.
I saw you come in. I saw you talk on the phone.
And then?
On that aspect, I like. There are some things about this movie I wasn't crazy about. For example, some of the stuff that Isabella Rossellini and Dennis Hopper do in this movie for me was a little bit too much.
Yeah.
To me, that kind of took me out a little bit, and some of that stuff was a little bit disturbing for my taste.
Yeah.
But I think Hopper gives a very great performance as this sort of crazy, psychotic guy that's involved in this story. And I really liked that the movie was a mix of the film noir with with the suspense and a little bit of comedy relief. And I really liked the jazzy score. To me, it felt like the old classic film noir scores from the 40s and 50s, whether on film and on television shows, detective shows.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that very much.
Yeah, it's very different. I mean, this is a David Lynch film. You know how he gets with his directing, how he can be like Quentin Tarantino. He can get dark like that and just turn nothing into something that's I mean, this movie came this close to being a softcore porn, really, too. With those scenes, it was.
Yeah, I didn't quite think it that way personally, but I agree. Some of that stuff for me was a little bit too much for my taste. So I really enjoyed this movie. I think this is probably one of my favorite David Lynch films. There is some stuff about the movie I didn't care for, which I mentioned. There's also a subplot involving Jeffrey's friend, played by Laura Dern. There's where she's seeing him and she's also seeing this guy Mike. That didn't, for me, add anything to the movie personally.
Yeah.
This movie is definitely not for everybody. I think some people might find this movie a little bit too much or too disturbing. But if you, I guess, go in with an open mind, as long as you are okay with, you know, some of the really violence and some of the graphic stuff, you might be able to get into more. But this movie is not for everybody.
Yeah, definitely not, and it's definitely not for anybody under 18 anyway.
Well, I think this movie's rated R.
It's rated R, yeah.
Hello, baby.
Who is this fuck?
A friend. He's from the neighborhood. We were just talking.
Oh. You're from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Your neighbor. But what's your name, neighbor?
Jeffrey.
He's a good kid, Frank.
Shut the fuck up.
Anyway, if you have any comments or thoughts, feel free to leave them on our YouTube page, and we'll be sure and get back to you about it, and or anything else you'd like to add or anything. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll be sure and see you next time.